is my second upload for today. I'm going to continue on the issues pertaining to me at the moment, which are the issues surrounding hate crime. Um, as I've said, this is like a documentary as such of what it's like for a victim of hate crime. Um, as I've mentioned in a previous upload, this incident of hate crime has not just affected me, but it's also affected an innocent child. Um, the matters that I have discussed are all very serious issues. Um, as I've said, um, I'm in public accommodation and my privacy is being violated every day. As I've also explained, my character has been defamed and there have been unethical procedures in the attainment of information um, about my private life, my personal life, my past, and such matters. Um, Throughout this experience, there hasn't been one honest individual that has ever confronted me with regards to all of the incidents of wrongdoings that have occurred. There has been no compassion in this situation. There has been no empathy. There has been very serious violations perpetrated. As I've stated, I have a clean record and I have a clean conscience and I've got clean hands, which is more that I can say for myself than I'd be able to ever say about any people involved in this situation. Um, the issue of hatred, the concept of hatred, is not something I'm au fait with, apart from being a victim of other people's hatred and mental health issues. Um, People in this vendetta have, as I've described, just gone to the most heinous lengths to cause the most serious of damage and without a conscience and without a concept or consideration for the consequences. So, in 2006, when I recovered from an incident of sexual assault and revenge porn, I began on my path to recovery from my personal issues. I overcame my difficulties, amended my wrongdoings, made amends, and became a better person. Um, that chapter has closed for me, um, and a new chapter has begun. Um, as I've said, there's been a lot of betrayal, cheating, and lying, and unfortunately, um, circumstances have changed due to the factors involved in people's defamation of me. Um, so it just so happens with the occurrences of defamation and hate crime that people have caused um, the concern for me at the moment, um, and really since 2017, are human rights. Um, I've always been a peace campaigner since 2006. I've not harmed individuals intentionally. I've not been in menace or nuisance, but I have experienced very serious defamation. People have caused very serious problems in my hometown, Tralee, County Kerry. I've grown here all my life. Um, I've had many fantastic experiences here. Um, I've travelled very far and I've travelled often. But Tralee is my hometown and I've contributed positively to my community. Um, I've worked in a voluntary capacity and I've worked as a teacher, a civil servant. I've done work in the hotel industry. I've worked as a photographer and photographer's assistant. I've worked in administration. I've had many fantastic experiences in Tralee, County Kerry. But since people started getting a little bit malicious and greedy and vindictive, and you know, this town has changed, and I don't know whether it's for the better or not, because there has been incidents of violations that have not only involved me but others also, that have negatively impacted the um, atmosphere of this community. Um, it's very upsetting to see um, this situation occurring. Um, the culprits that have intruded upon my private life, family life, career, and professional life have also affected not only the lives of others, but the life and soul of this town also. Um, the matters that I'm discussing might seem insignificant, and for those perpetrating wrongdoings against an innocent woman, um, they might think that I am insignificant. But as a woman that has contributed to this society and has been law abiding and respectful, and that has been so damaged with regard to my role in the fellowship, my role as a light worker, my role as a teacher, as a person that has experienced medical negligence and bodily integrity violations, etc., etc., etc. People involved in this vendetta have lost their good manners to consult the person that they are violating. So these are human rights issues that I'm concerned with. Um, as a graduate of the University of Limerick and as a graduate of cultural studies, um, my education has never become so relevant as it is to me now. Um, Society and the messages in society and the media and the role of the media um, are all very powerful. Um, the messages that we are receiving aren't always credible, aren't always factual, aren't always, So this just proves that you can't always believe what you hear and you can't always believe what you see. But that's that's media. That's the messages of the media. What I'm concerned about are the messages of the people claiming falsehoods about Emer Griffin McElligott, because my character has been very severely defamed, and there has been absolute nonsense going on in this situation that I am absolutely horrified at. Um, the matters that I'll be pertaining to, or that pertain to this issue, are human rights issues, civil liberties, simple as reality. Um, People attaining information unethically without consultation um, is a very serious concern, especially in the privacy of a person's abode and dwellings. Um, the first point I'm going to mention is equality before the law. Um, since 2017, my legal rights have not been represented justly or reasonably. My legal rights have been ignored. I have not been provided with the legal guidance and information that I'm entitled to, and there has been discrimination simply because of matters pertaining to character, career, family, um, marital rights, etc., etc., etc. So that's the first human right violation that's occurring in this situation. I have engaged with at least 5 legal representatives in the past 2 to 3 years. Not one single one of them advised me or provided me with the information that I am entitled to. I wasn't or haven't been defended justly or fairly. So that's just one matter. Then there's the right to life, which recognizes and protects the right to life. My right to life involves what I would consider my needs and wants being met, like any citizen is entitled to have their needs and wants met. Um, Everyone is entitled to live harmoniously, contentedly, and abundantly, as far as I'm concerned. Um, Intentionally, there have been malicious individuals in this society trying to control a situation that they should have no involvement in at all, at all. They have desecrated an innocent woman's hierarchy of needs simply because of their greed and their hatred and malice. That's a mental health issue that they need to contend with, because destructing an innocent life um, based on irrational and unsubstantiated, you know, irrational reasons and unsubstantiated claims is, you know, very, 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 very serious. Um, my livelihood has been deteriorating as a consequence of my human rights being violated. Um, as I've said, I'm an educator. Um, my earning power is quite high, and that's just from my qualifications, from my experiences and my training. Um, Opportunities have also been damaged. That's another aspect of the loss of earnings involved in this situation. I receive €200 a week. Um, as regards my medical needs, I'm now an invalid. I live a sedentary lifestyle. The pace of my lifestyle has slowed down immensely. I was a highly productive individual, um, an active individual, um, you know. So the medical negligence that the medical council are fully aware of um, have not addressed these issues either. So that's another issue for the ombudsman that has not been acknowledged. Um, so basically, I'm treating my ailments myself, and thankfully, due to my own training, I'm aware of how to tend to my needs as an adult of 38 years of age. So the right to life, which is my human right, is also been violated. Personal liberty with regards to my personal freedom, unlawful detainment or applications to violate that human right without even consulting me or without having any engagement with me, um, is also another human right violation I'm experiencing. Um, Everyone deserves to live free and happily and contentedly, etc., etc. There are people in this town that have corrupted the system, that have corrupted the Declaration of Human Rights, and have corrupted the um, Constitution of Ireland. Um, the idea of liberty is not only with regards to being free for, you know, being free to move, travel, being free to choose, being free to decide what any certain individual would choose as a career, as a choice of family, as a choice of whatever, you know. Um, my right to liberty has been violated already twice. Um, that's another human right violation that's occurring in this vendetta of hate crime. Um, the idea of anonymous individuals enforcing detainment of a law abiding citizen minding his or her own business without having had ever caused any harm to another simply due to a vendetta of hate crime and other people's issues is not a valid reason for the Declaration of Human Rights to be violated. Um, the European Union has set the Declaration of Human Rights as a code of living, a code of behaving, a code of standards. And basically, in Tralee County, Kerry, Ireland, due to a vendetta of hate crime, that declaration has been very seriously disrespected. And as an EU country, this matter is a very serious concern for the UN. And as I'm speaking for myself, I'm also speaking on behalf of other women that have also experienced this circumstance. Freedom of expression. Um, the issues that I've been confronted with, I have relayed to the relevant agencies and authorities and politicians since 2017. That was in private correspondence. My private correspondence and my freedom of expression to them has also been violated. Um, as well as that, people are taking issue with these uploads. I've had to privately set these uploads for the interest only of those that I am corresponding with. Um, as a graduate of media and sociology and literature, etc., etc., um, there shouldn't be issue with me expressing myself as I choose in a European country. But people have suppressed Emer Griffin McElligott because of the reality of this situation and because of the lies and deceit that are becoming apparent in the messages that they are portraying. The deception being portrayed is that this vendetta is actually not happening. Um, this is not a hateful community. This is not a situation of violations or wrongdoings. That's easy for a collective group of people to portray when premeditated and orchestrated, and while there are other people as well as Emer Griffin McElligott suffering at the hands of these individuals that are suppressing and undermining innocent women that are experiencing human rights violations also. So the freedom of expression has also been, how would I say, um, undermined for me in other ways also, in an unauthorized manner um, and in an unlawful manner also. Um, the tactics in undermining my freedom of expression have been attempted by overpowering the message of the truth and misconstruing the facts and creating a different story and changing the story and changing the plot and changing the lines. But there's a conflict of information and there's a conflict of evidence and there is a conflict between what is right and what is wrong. And the culprits that are perpetrating these wrongdoings are being facilitated at a great expense. And when I think of people in less well off circumstances, I worry about the logic and sanity of the individuals going to such expense to cause such serious problems when there are such more serious issues of poverty and such things happening in the world. So that's the insanity of this situation in this society at the moment. Um, and as I've mentioned, simply started when I married a property owner and gave birth to a beautiful child. The incidents of wrongdoings are not just pertaining to constitution, but have been exacerbated now to the level of human rights. And as I've said, I'm not just speaking selfishly in my own for my own interests, but more so and also for the interests of others that are also being victimized and wronged. So there's also the issue of the right to fair procedures and being treated fairly without bias. A citizen must be given an adequate opportunity to present your case. A citizen must be informed of the matters. Um, I have not been treated fairly in the court of law. I have not been treated fairly in community either. I've been experiencing injustice, discrimination, and inequality since 2017. As regards my right to be given adequate opportunity to present my case, I've had to upload unashamedly um, my circumstances that I'm not happy about discussing at all. This is an embarrassing situation, not just for me, as I've mentioned, but also and more so for this community that is causing such a catastrophe of lies and deceit, which is absolutely embarrassing for any community or constitution to be facilitating. Um, the bodily integrity issue, I'd better be careful about discussing because there's predators that are guilty of violating and causing further problems for me. So I'll just skip the bodily integrity issue, but there have been very serious bodily integrity issues that have damaged my skeletal and muscular form, my internal organs, etc., etc., etc. So then we're on to the issue of religious liberty and citizens being free to practice personal religion and freedom of conscience. Um, this issue is very, 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 very serious. As I've said, since 2006, I've been on the path to recovery and spiritual studies and whatnot. Um, my faith does not negatively affect other people. Um, I do not impose upon other people's private religious or spiritual practices. I do not practice unethically. Um, Basically, that's another serious issue. And other people that have in the past year decided to improve their practices have no position in causing this person um, any violations with regard to how they see things or how they've interpreted things or how they've claimed such dangerous um, falsehoods. That's another aspect of this human rights issue. So then there's the right to privacy. Um, as I've said, I'm in public accommodation. My marital home, where I should be living, has been um, trespassed. My marital home has been trespassed. Um, my dwellings, three or four of my dwellings, have also been trespassed. So therefore, I've experienced inviolability of dwellings. There have been belongings of mine stolen from my dwellings, and I could mention other matters, but not on this upload. So that's one aspect of the right to privacy that's been violated. There's the other right to privacy that's been violated unethically also. Um, as a tenant of public accommodation, um, this circumstance has led to other issues that have involved a situation of whistleblowing um, being exacerbated by intrusions and falsehoods. Um, so that's just a succinct kind of description of my current circumstances. My right to earn a livelihood, I've kind of touched on already. I'm a teacher. I'm qualified from the University of Limerick. I studied there between 1999 and 2003. I'm also a graduate of Hibernia, and I've also completed other online study and distance learning. Um, there have been people in this community that have tried to discredit my educational qualifications and my educational career and my educational experiences. Um, as well as that, the same individuals have altered information, they have misrepresented information, and they have also damaged my career. Um, the issues surrounding this hate crime have been based on falsehoods regarding my characteristics and traits. The individuals have gone to great lengths, and I'll just, you know, say that much about that. But there have been very serious lies told about Emer Griffin McElligott, and that is online, and that is in other public forums and other forms of media. Um, there's also the freedom to travel. Um, as I've said, I've always enjoyed traveling, and I've been restricted and confined in a community that has decided to suppress me and undermine me, and that has tried to deceive and uh, portray its own version of events and the reality and truth of a situation in Tralee that other spiritually minded individuals have imposed themselves on and capitalized on and exploited and caused very serious damage as a consequence. This brings me to the point of a very old uh, incident in history when I think of when a particular publication was compiled um, selectively and varied enormously and excluded certain things and included others. That's kind of relevant to this situation that's happening today. There's not only been a few advancements and progress and developments with regards to the violations that I'm experiencing, but there's also been very unethical practices. And because of not only wrongdoings but notoriety as well, people have decided to try and dispose of a woman that they've gained very much from, that have, you know, exploited what I have worked for and have piggybacked on my projects when my intellectual and creative work was thieved in 2016. Um, so that's my career that has been damaged and my opportunities. Um, that's my experience of travel that has also been confined and restricted. My work, I've travelled with my work, I've taught abroad, and I've volunteered abroad. I've volunteered in Cuba, China, and Portugal, the UK, um, etc. So my freedom to travel has been intentionally restricted while people are perpetrating violations of religious liberty and etc. 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 So this is the premeditated and orchestrated vendetta of hate crime that's occurring. And this is how people are imposing themselves on my purpose. And this is how people are behaving in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland. And this is what individuals that are meant to respect, defend, and prioritise civil liberties and human rights are ignoring. And this matter is not just pertaining to me. So I've mentioned about the inviolability of citizens' dwellings. There's been at least 4 of my dwellings violated. Um, the right of the rights of the family have also been affected. So they're just some of the human rights violations that I'm experiencing in Tralee, County Kerry. Um, the authorities have not once confronted me about the matters that I've discussed with them, insofar as they haven't followed up about what I'm experiencing. Instead, the people, the guilty offenders of this vendetta, um, are being facilitated. That, to me, as far as I'm concerned, is a recipe for disaster. When the innocent are being victimized and violated, and while the guilty culprits are being safeguarded in their lies and their wrongdoings, I'm wondering, have authorities and politicians consideration for the consequences, especially when all is considered not only between 2005 and 2007, um, and also between 2017 and 2019. So, this vendetta of hate crime is a human rights issue. Um, I'm sending these uploads to the relevant agencies for the urgent assistance required for not only myself but also for my 4-year-old son, who was unlawfully separated from me due to other people's agendas in procuring access to property they have no entitlement to. My marital rights have been disrespected and disregarded. My child's rights have been disrespected and disregarded. My medical rights have been disrespected and disregarded. My child's medical rights have been disrespected and disregarded. My legal rights have been disrespected and disregarded. Um, there are people imposing, intruding, and causing very serious problems. They are attaining information unethically. They are not consulting me. They are defaming me, and they are violating me in the most horrendous ways. As a victim of medical negligence, unlawful detainments, um, mother of a child unjustifiably in state care, as a victim of legal violations, etc., etc., that has sought assistance from the relevant authorities, politicians, and agencies, I am entitled to protection, whistleblower protection, because the individuals I am being confronted with in these constitutional wrongdoings um, have no mercy and no conscience. Um, as the innocent party in this situation, why are the authorities not prioritising the safety and well-being and human rights of an innocent mother and child? Who is obstructing my human rights, and who is imposing and preventing and violating? And why is this being facilitated? So, those exacerbating the situation and that have no understanding of the damage already done, I'm wondering, um, could those that I am sending this upload to have a conscience, um, and prioritize morals over monetary issues, because the price of human life is inestimable, and the exploitation that I have experienced and the amount owed to me is inexorbitant at this stage. Um, People have claimed outrageous lies. This community is a small community, and people freely say what they want without thought for the consequences. I owe nobody anything. My conscience is clean, and as I've said, so are my hands. Um, People that have stolen my wealth, damaged my health, and caused these embarrassing situations for a community that's supposed to be evolving and progressing are really not only just contradicting themselves but also embarrassing this, community. So, for the United Nations and civil liberties organizations, I might be just one woman pestering you every day, but what is happening is very serious. There's an innocent child involved, and people power, when they are abusing power, is not progressive or conducive to progress. So, for my second upload today, there is a human rights issue occurring in Tralee, County Kerry, and it's also involving an innocent child. So, would you mind, please, consulting me um, directly, and confronting this very serious matter?